Ladies and gentlemen, May 5th, 2023. I'm here at the residence of Dr. and Mrs. N.K. Pandeya in West Des Moines, Iowa, United States of America. Since 1994, I have treated him as my older brother, and I call him Pandeya. I am Major Amar Sinha, and I will be talking to the living, legendary figure and get to know his childhood and his life, the journey that he went about from India to the United States. Pandeya came to the US in 1958 and needs no introduction. In fact, the way I got to know him was when I saw his picture in the Des Moines Register way back in 1994. And, you know, his name is small, Dr. N.K. Pandeya, but what blew me off was his professional credentials, which was never unending. You know, FAACS, comma this, comma that, comma this, comma that. So great accolades to him with all the professional credentials that he has after his name. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me start having a chat with Pandeya. Good morning, Bhaiya. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine, thanks.
Good. It is so nice to see you. You've got a bright looking shirt on. You have a smile in your face and everything. And I cannot even start to recollect and talk about the first time that I met you, my family, Katie, kids, and myself, 1994, when we came for a dinner to your house, to where we are sitting today. We've gone through lots of ups and downs in our lives, right. Health-wise. Everything has been very good otherwise.
Even otherwise.
Even otherwise, if you say so. So I will actually let you talk to us and my audience about your childhood. Where were you born? How long were you there in India before you tell us about your childhood?
My father was a civil engineer and he was transferred for the Bihar. Okay. So allegedly my birth was in Ara Jilla, a place called Rampur. Mm-hmm. I've never been there. Okay. And then first recollection I have is a place called Guwabari on Lal Bakia River in now East Champaran. At that time there was only one Champaran. And we were close to about 3 miles from station, railway station, Bergania. Okay. And this was the war time, the first recollection I have. And I had...
So, when you say the war time, are we talking about Second World War?
Yes.
All right, okay. Oh my God, we're talking about the Second World War, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, baby.
And a whole bunch of British Tommies, their military people, army, were stationed in our area. And I remember them being close to our house because being the nearest government quarter. But yeah, we were transferred every 3 years. So from Guwabari, we went to a place called Vaisalotan, which is now Balmiki Nagar, with a big tiger reserve there.
Nice.
Right on the border, half of the river was in Nepal, the other half was in Bihar.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was a picturesque, lovely place. In the evening, we could see tigers, the bears, and deer going right in front of our house. And every once in a while, big crocodile will be present.
So how old were you when you're narrating this, the tigers and...
Oh, I was about 5 years old.
Okay, so you do recollect all of that?
Yeah.
Okay, that is very good. At the age I'm not going to say right now, but at the age that you are right now in, you still recollect what it is.
I'm 84 and mine is still working.
There you go, he said it. Okay.
Mine is still working so far.
Good.
So anyway, from Vaisalotan then, we were transferred, father was transferred to a place called Dhaka, which is Ramnagar, Harinagar, same town. And then of course, I went away to Motihari for my high school. And then I went to college in Motihari.
So can I stop you over here for a second? You know, the good old days, we hear from our grandfathers and fathers, and I'm talking to you as well. People who say we studied under candlelights. There was no electricity at that point of time. Are you also from that era where you studied under candlelights?
No, not candlelights, but we had kerosene lamps.
Okay.
Electricity was not there in my days. Just about 2 years ago, they electrified all the villages and every place. But in my time, there was no telephone, no paved roads,
Sure.
and naturally no electricity. So yes, I belong to that part of generation.
Okay, that's fine. And you've seen it all. So, you know, from then to now.
In one life, nobody can see it all, but I have seen my share.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. So, but yeah, you went to school in Motihari, right?
Yes.
And up until which grade were you? India, maybe we call it standard. So, which standard did you finish in Motihari?
In Motihari, I joined the Zilla school in 9th grade,
Okay.
and we finished the high school in 11th grade.
Okay.
So that was it. And then I immediately went on to Munshi Singh College, which we call it MS College. Sounds more pretentious that way.
And a funny thing over here, I won't say funny, but look where life's travels takes you. From what I was speaking to you a couple of weeks ago, and you said that you had joined a college to do masters in forestry, and here you are, a retired plastic surgeon.
What happened when I was about 8, 9 years old, part of my family was in politics, and I just didn't like their ways of life.
Okay.
And a lot of things in India, people didn't know who I was, but people knew I'm son of so-and-so.
Okay.
So early enough in life, I decided this is not for me. And I got exposed to a lot of American magazines, National Geographic, Life, which used to be published in Des Moines, and Time magazine. No, the Des Moines was Look magazine.
Okay.
So Life, Look, Time, and other American publications. And I was highly impressed. The thing I remember very distinctly, seeing full-page ads of Pontiac, Bonneville.
I was about to ask you that because 2 weeks back you mentioned about how impressed you were by the Pontiac Bonneville, and I was wondering if that was your first car that you bought in the United States.
No,
Okay.
no. My first car in Minneapolis was a Plymouth,
Okay.
1956, because Plymouth was, I think, at the bottom of ranking. Bonneville was up in the middle, so I didn't have any money at that time to buy Bonneville.
Okay. Well, you have all the money now to buy the cars that I see in your garage. So, yeah, we've come a long way. So you did your schooling and you went to the college to do masters in forestry because of the reasons that you just mentioned. So talk to us a little bit about college. And in this episode, we will cover your college days in India and up to the United States.
Well, I did my Bachelor in Science from Munshi Singh College. Ours was the first batch of BSc, biology batch. And there were 6 of us that were in that class.
And which city was that in?
Motihari.
In Motihari itself. Okay, good.
And well, that's the place where Gandhi was first arrested in India.
Oh.
He was out there protesting against the farmers that were being unduly taxed by
British.
Westerners, Britishers.
Mm-hmm.
So Gandhi went there and he was house detained, kind of arrest. And the district magistrate asked him to leave Champaran, and he respectfully declined that. But that's when an American reporter was there who made it an international incident, and Gandhi became rather famous in India. Before that, he was famous in South Africa.
Right, right. And if my memory serves me right, Motihari, has been on the map during the freedom struggle for India, if I remember that.
Yes, there are a lot of. Gandhi actually had a couple of ashrams there, and Kasturba, Gandhi's his wife, he spent some time in Champaran near Motihari, So Motihari has been fairly well known because of freedom fighting.
Okay. So did you graduate then from Motihari in forestry?
No, I had my BSc degree
Okay.
with with chemistry or biology, botany, zoology, and chemistry. And I wanted to get out of India so desperately that I applied British West Indies, UK, Germany, Australia, and I was interested in medicine right from the childhood.
Right.
So I applied in medicine and applied, since I had a bachelor's degree in biology, in botany, zoology, and I accidentally ran into forestry.
Okay. So that's how you ended up wanting to do forestry at that point of time.
Well, I didn't want to do
You
it,
didn't want to
but
do
I
it.
didn't have much choice.
Okay. Okay.
But those were the first people that accepted me at University of Minnesota.
Right. So now your journey brings us from your childhood, schooling in, in the village that you were in with a kerosene lamp, like you said.
Right.
And then also, your school days in Motihari and stuff like that. And then you finally came to college, you had the BSc degree. And then at one point of time, you said, I just want to get out of this space. And like you said, you applied in UK, Germany, every other place that you thought of, including the United States. And so from what I gather, Bhaiya, is that Des Moines University, you came in 1969. So prior to that, actually, talk to us about Minnesota.
Well, when I left Delhi, Christmas of 1958, it was over 70 degrees.
Okay.
And arrived in Minneapolis, and it was minus 30 or so.
Okay.
So I have never known what cold was.
Yeah.
And in those days, of course, we were allowed only 44 pounds of luggage.
Okay.
So every piece of clothing that I brought from India, I put that on.
Right.
And I was still cold.
Oh, and I have a similar incident, but it's not about me, it's about Bhaiya today. So I can well imagine from 70 degrees Celsius, in India. Fahrenheit, I beg your pardon, to 30 or below, whatever it was in Minnesota. Quite the change. And like you said, you probably took out just about everything that you had in your suitcase, donned it on so that you could feel a little warm, right?
On the way here, I took a KLM airline. And they stopped in Amsterdam. I was supposed to fly to London to meet a friend of ours who was doing his PhD in chemistry. But that night, the fog was so heavy that one of the military planes had crashed.
Oh.
So they put us on a ship to cross the English Channel. And anyway, I spent that Christmas, part of that in Amsterdam, most of it in London, and then following day, flew out to New York.
So, blessing in disguise sometimes, because you spent Christmas both in Amsterdam as well as in the UK. So that is great. So go ahead with what happened after that.
Well, in New York, in those days, international flights came to very few places in USA. Idlewild Airport was one of them, which is now known as John F. Kennedy Airport.
Okay.
So I came at Idlewild, and I had no idea, coming straight from the villages.
Yeah.
It was all so new to me, the tall skyscrapers in New York City, the clean, fast trains that I took from New York to Minneapolis.
Sure.
And of course, the train was, I brought some sweets from London, so that kept me alive between Idlewild Airport and Minneapolis, because I was afraid to ask anybody. And
so sweets were Kalakan, or what kind of sweets were you carrying at that point of time?
I'm sure you've heard the name of Pataks.
Okay, Patak.
Yeah.
Or the brand Patak. Yeah, okay.
Multi-million-dollar job now.
Okay.
In those days, Mr. Patak had a small room in downtown London.
Okay.
So we went there, and he made some laddu and some other sweets like that.
Okay.
So brought that along.
That was your survival ration?
Yes.
Okay.
I was afraid to eat because I was basically vegetarian.
Okay. Then, now you eat anything that moves.
Well,
right. Okay.
not anymore.
Okay. All right. So no, that's been very interesting so far. So let's talk a little bit more about the college or the university that you joined in Minnesota.
University of Minnesota.
All right. What is it again?
University of Minnesota.
University of Minnesota, I beg your pardon. And then I think, was that a college of osteopathic or it was
No,
not?
that was a school of forestry,
Okay,
because those were the first ones to admit me.
sure.
So I took advantage, got out of there,
Okay.
and I spent the first half of 1959 there. And then I realized I have no forestry background.
Right.
So through a friend of mine, late Mr. Mishra, I got admitted to University of Nebraska, master's in botany,
Excellent.
which
Right.
was my field, somewhat of my field,
Right.
and did my master's of science in botany from Nebraska.
Excellent. Excellent. So Nebraska is now our neighboring state,
Yes,
right, where we live.
it was even then.
Oh, yeah, I know. Even then it was. So if I was to talk to you about what exactly you did in the University of Nebraska, could you tell us a little bit about your journey there?
It takes a long time, and I mean long time, to get used to this society. I had left my social circles, I left my culture basically, except in my heart and mind, the culture was always there. So it took me a long time to get used to the American way
Sure.
of life. At Minnesota, the first 3 months, they all looked alike.
Okay.
My advisor, the dean, the professors, and they all spoke funny.
Okay.
And what startled me was informality. The students used to come in, put their feet up on the desk,
Yeah.
and chewing gum was
Allowed.
allowed.
Yeah.
And sometimes they will refer to their professors by their first name.
Mm-hmm.
I was used to the strict British system.
Right.
When the professor walked into the classroom, we all stood up till the professor asked us to sit down.
And also back in Motihari, I'm sure you've gone through that traumatic experience of your ears being boxed by the teacher or caning and whatnot, right?
Luckily, because of my father's position
Okay.
in the government, that was spared. And so in Motihari, we didn't go through that.
Okay.
But I was very lucky that way.
Yeah, you were the preferred child in the classroom, if you will, kind of. Okay. Sorry, I took you back to Motihari. So a little bit more of how long were you in Nebraska, and then I have 2 weeks back when I met with you, we talked about, we are just fast forwarding a lot because I see 1969, the white coat, but between Nebraska and 1969, can we cover that distance also, please?
Well, in those days, if you're of Indian background, born in India with funny name like mine, medical schools won't even send you an application form.
Oh my goodness.
And somehow I started working in the medical field as a lab technician and phlebotomist at St. Elizabeth Hospital.
Unbelievable. A
FAAOS.
lab technician to today, what God.
Well, God has been good to me, blessed me with a lot of good friends. But I learned a lot in the process. So, old St. Elizabeth Hospital, God bless them, it was still run by nuns,
Okay.
and it was immaculate. They were very devoted people. One of the nuns, I had to draw blood from her because she was teaching the kindergarten people an old, movie projector. The light bulb exploded
Oh no.
and her habit caught fire.
Oh no.
So she was burned almost 80% of her body. But she was still very kind, always smiling, always very gracious. And of course, in those days, we didn't have specialized burn units or anything.
Sure.
Medicine has come a long ways in the last 65 years
You bet.
that I've been a part of it. But I finally saw an opening at Cancer Research Institute,
Mm-hmm.
newly formed Epley Cancer Research Institute, in Omaha at University of Nebraska Medical Center.
Sure.
And I applied for it. I got in there, and that was a kind of fellowship, National Health Institute, and I think it was $300 a month, all of it tax-free. So I joined that, working on a PhD at the same time, PhD in anatomy.
You've got to be a very smart person, Bhaiya, because getting out of Motihari, I belong to the same state, now a little different state, Jharkhand. But anyways, coming out from there, taking your first flight on KLM from New Delhi, probably, right? Via Amsterdam, and then you had to take a ship because of whatever happened, the crash that you talked about, to coming to Minnesota, joining the University of Minnesota, and then moving to Nebraska, doing stuff out there, including a lab technician's tenure, if you will, and then to, applying for this big position or big job where you were accepted. So that's why I said you have to be a very smart person, intelligent person, which you are. There's no doubt in that.
I would not use the word smart in my case.
Okay, intelligent?
Persistent.
Persistent and intelligent too, right? Okay.
Yes, average.
But you're being modest. So you're being modest. That's very nice. So are we still coming to the 1969 days as yet?
Right. So at Medical Center in Omaha, I got to meet Suri Sehgal, who brought one of his friends. She was intern at Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
She was taking her ECFMG exam.
Okay.
And he said, come and visit us sometime. So 7th year in a row, I was rejected by medical schools.
Oh, I just said intelligent.
No, that's what I said.
That's what.
That's
okay.
what I said.
So I go back to what you say, persistent. Try, and try again, right?
It just wasn't fashionable to have a foreign-born with a funny name be admitted to medical school.
Oh boy. Wow.
And there were no Indian doctors in those days.
Oh wow.
That floodgate opened up in 1975.
Okay.
So it was even rare for a foreign-born to even think of getting into medical school here in USA.
Sure. Many accolades to you for that. So I have in my notes something about the white coat ceremony again in '69. So let's talk for a few minutes on the white coat ceremony, please. And then after that, let's cover. You were an intern in Columbus, Ohio, correct, for the first year. So, go ahead.
Well, the white coat ceremony was basically nothing like what it is nowadays.
Which is fancy.
It's a big deal now.
Okay.
But in those days, you bought your own white coat and you put it yourself.
Okay.
So
it wasn't basically a big fanfare.
no, it wasn't. We were lucky and we were very thankful that we got into medical school. And classes were so that you didn't have much time left to goof around. You just had to work hard to pass biochemistry, anatomy, and in the process, you made sure that you don't step on anybody's toes,
Sure.
faculty or staff, because that was ground for dismissal.
Wow. So, Bhaiya, also College of Osteopathic, right? This was again Nebraska?
University of Des Moines University now.
This is now we are into Des Moines
Yeah.
University, and that's why you're a big proponent of the DO school, which is here in Des Moines, Iowa. So let's capture a little bit more about the Des Moines area, and we'll talk about your internship, and then probably in our next episode we will go from after you became a doctor.
Well, the first time I drove through Iowa was summer of 1959, and there were no speed limits.
Okay, wow,
And
I'd love that.
There was no freeway either. Old Highway 6 and 65 and 69 took us around Iowa and across Iowa. And it was mostly cornfield, mostly farming community. very few industries.
Okay.
And people were a little different in those days. It took them a long time to get to know you and trust you. But once you got into their inner circle, they will give up their life to save you.
Sure, sure.
And you see all these crimes in Des Moines, never heard of in those days.
Right.
You know, 1 or 2 homicides a year was more than we heard of.
Absolutely. I mean, relatively, even now in Des Moines, Iowa, when I use the word relatively, when I compare the other states around the United States, I think we are still okay. It shouldn't be happening, but you know, stuff happens. So, but yeah, a few more minutes. Let's talk about your internship in Columbus, Ohio.
Well, after graduation, my senior year, I had to do externship, and I was recommended a doctor's hospital in Columbus, Ohio.
Nice.
So I spent 6 months there as a student, and they liked my work, so they said, "Come on over, we'll give you an internship." So
Internship in what field did you?
it was, in those days, it was just a rotating internship.
I see.
Nowadays, you can specialize, go into surgery or medicine or whichever. But in those days, you had to go through OB and pediatrics and psychiatry and medicine and surgery. So
all
I
of
did
that.
rotating in 1 year.
All right, fantastic, Pandeya. It's been wonderful talking to you about your childhood to adolescent age, and then coming to the United States and doing whatnot. I mean, you've seen it all, basically, if you ask me. Go ahead. You're saying something.
No, I was going to say that, no, I haven't seen it all. And talk to any old man, and old people love to talk.
Okay.
So I'm glad you guys are here.
Well, I am so glad that I'm in the august company of you and Mrs. Pandeya sitting across me over there. We'll get you on the camera sometime. Okay, not today. But in 30 seconds or more, is there anything else that you would like to tell us before you started off your career as a doctor? And I'm not sure when you chose plastic surgery, but we'll come to it in episode 2.
That will be great. And like I said before, Midwest people, it takes them a while to get to know you and like you. But once they have accepted you, almost all doors are open to you.
Okay, great. And I think let's cap it by asking one more question. I said 30 seconds. I take it back. So you did your residency in Des Moines, correct?
And part of that in Cleveland.
And part of that. So a little bit about residency, and then we can call it a day.
During my internship year then, I decided that I liked residency, I liked surgery.
Okay.
So for that, you had to go another 4 years
Okay.
to specialize in surgery. So I took 2 years here in Des Moines at Old Des Moines General Hospital, which is a parking lot for the state now. They bulldozed the building.
Okay.
When I came to town, there were 4 DO hospitals in town. Now there is none. And from here, then I moved up to Cleveland, Ohio, to do my 4th year.
Okay.
And at that time, I decided I want to go into plastic surgery.
Okay. Fabulous, fabulous. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will call it a day over here. And you heard the legendary figure. I keep saying that because a lot of us have had to, or should, learn a lot from him. The valleys and troughs that he's gone through and where he is today, a retired plastic surgeon. So we'll cover the plastic surgeon part of it on episode 2, excuse me. But for now, suffice to say that it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Pandeya, and getting to know about a lot more about you during this little chat session of ours. So with that, I wish you all the very best and have a fantastic day. And we'll come and see you again for episode 2 pretty shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure and honor so far.
Absolutely, Bhaiya, absolutely. Mine too.